Question number 5, the Honourable Barbara Edmonds.
My Lord Sui Fuaman, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. Does she stand by her statement about FamilyBoost that, quote, there are around 21,000 families who would get the full rebate of the $150 per fortnight, unquote? If so, how many families have consistently received the full rebate of $150 a fortnight since the scheme started?
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Nicola Willis.
Yes, I was using an estimate provided by Inland Revenue. And as the member will know from her time working there, Inland Revenue is a highly professional organisation that uses the best available information to cost policies. IRD advised me that the modelling for this policy was challenging, as there was little reliable data about how much parents were paying for early childhood education. We now have much better data about that. IRD assumed more families were paying higher childcare costs than turned out to be the case. In answer to the second part of the question, I can advise that in total 57,736 families have so far received FamilyBoost. I continue to encourage more families to apply. In the third quarter of 2024, 1,646 families received the very maximum payment. In the fourth quarter of 2024, 1,189 received the maximum payment. In the fourth quarter the first quarter of this year, 1,272 families received the payment. As you will appreciate, Mr. Speaker, families' circumstances vary throughout the year, so across those 3 quarters, I'm advised that 349 families received the full payment in each quarter.
How is it IRD's fault when they were forecasting the scheme that she designed and estimated to benefit 130,000 families?
Well, Mr. Speaker, at the time that National was campaigning on this policy, and I'd note that is not my ministerial responsibility, but at the time we estimated, and it was very clear, that up to 130,000 families we estimated could be eligible for the policy. And we were clear that the amount of payment that families would get under the scheme would depend on 2 things. 1, their income, but 2, how much they were paying in early childhood education fees. To get the maximum payment, members, families would have to have more than $300 a week in early childhood costs. Mr. Speaker, it remains my goal to ensure that we get more families getting the benefit of this great policy to support families with the cost of living, and so I have asked IRD for more advice on how we can make tweaks to the scheme to ensure it reaches even more families. And I'd note that under the member opposite's approach, 0 families would have got this payment.
Supplementary. Why have only a fraction of those she promised has received the full amount?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as I've made clear in my earlier answers, when I was asked how many families we estimated would get the full payment, I relied on modelling and data provided to me by the IRD. And, Mr. Speaker, I stand by that as a sensible approach. An alternative approach, I suppose, is for me to make up my own number rather than rely on the tax officials whose job is to inform me of their estimates and modelling. Mr. Speaker, I think I did the appropriate thing by relying on IRD's data, and I continue to stand by the fact that FamilyBoost has ensured that more than 56,000 families have received cold, hard cash in their bank accounts to support them with the cost of living.
Is it a failure that only 349 families, rather than the estimated 21,000 families that National made promises to, only received the full amount?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I again reject the characterisation of the member's question. National never promised a particular number of families who would receive the maximum payment. We always anticipated that payments would vary depending on circumstances. I can advise the member that more than in the third quarter of last year, 13,713 families received more than $500. for the quarter, 9,556 received more than 600 and 6,344 received more than 700. The point here, Mr. Speaker, is that while the amount of the payment varies, tens of thousands of New Zealand families have benefited to the tune of hundreds of dollars because of this policy, and I would remind everyone in this House, when it came to addressing the cost of living, our government delivered, and that party opposite opposed this policy to deliver cost of living relief to families with young children. Under their approach, zero families would have got those payments.
What broken promise is she most proud of? The $150 a fortnight for 21,000 families.
Okay. Much as the previous Green Speaker had to reword a question for the same reasons, you need to restart that question.
What is she most proud of? The $150 a fortnight for 21,000 families, the delivery of the Cook Strait ferries, or the over $1 billion of savings for her budget by making it harder for women to seek pay equity?
Mr. Speaker, I am most proud that after 14 years of denying New Zealanders any tax relief, after a government that delivered them sky-high inflation and rapidly rising interest rates, our government delivered millions of New Zealand workers and families tax relief that supported them to meet their costs of living. And Mr. Speaker, behind that commitment was a principle we hold dear, and that is those who work hard should be rewarded for their effort, and the government should respect the wages of working people.
After all that, not one clap.